So today I'm going to be sharing with you the 10 reasons why Utah may not be the best fit for you. Now, don't get me wrong. Utah is an amazing place. Salt Lake City is an amazing place, but it may just not be for everyone. Lots of people move here, but lots of people move away as well. We've had friends that have moved here and they're like, they took a new job and they're like, hey, you know what? They tried it for a couple of years and they're like, you know what? This was a deal breaker. This was a deal breaker. And they ended up relocating. Other people have moved here and they're like, I can't imagine living anywhere else. So really, it just depends on you and really what you're looking for. So let's hop right into those 10 things that could be a deal breaker for you, but may not be a deal breaker either. Mariah here. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if this is your very first time here. This channel is literally everything you need to know about eating, working, playing, sleeping, and living in the Salt Lake City, Utah area. If that is of interest to you, consider subscribing down below and make sure you tap that bell for notifications so you are notified every week we drop a new video. We hear from people like you all the time who are looking to make a move or relocating here to Utah, and we absolutely love it. So if you're thinking about making a move in a week, in a month, or even a year from now, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email, and it'd be our pleasure to connect with you. Number one is simply the weather. Yes, the weather here in Utah is very unpredictable, and really you're going to have summers that can be very dry, very hot, but then storms can blow through and it might be thunder and lightning, and you might have a storm during the summer. So winters are cold. Yes, they are cold, but the winter and the summer are both dry because cold. Utah is a desert. It is dry. So a lot of people here in Utah say, well, it's not as cold as it is back east or really in the west just because of the low humidity that is here. But the weather is very unpredictable, and not to mention about the rain and the snow and also, the high heat. But also it is a pretty windy place. So you will have big gusts of wind that will come through, and it's very windy. So number one, the weather can deter people from moving here. Number two, speaking of weather, the poor air quality. You've heard about this, I'm sure, before. The inversion that comes through right through Salt Lake. This typically happens in the winter months. A storm will blow in, and really what ends up happening is smog gets stuck right in that Salt Lake City Valley, and it really gets stuck there until a new storm blows it right out. But sometimes it can sit in there for a few days, even a week. And if you have asthma or other health challenges, it can really be, it can be a tricky situation. So that poor air quality, again, it's not there all the time, but when those storms move in, they sit there and they have, we have to wait until that inversion is blown out. So number two, poor air quality. Number three, housing prices and housing costs have increased here dramatically. Over the years, we have continued to see increases in pricing in here, which has been a deterrent for some. For some, they're, hanging on, but also going along with the housing, there are fewer houses than there are people that are looking for houses. So sometimes we are seeing people, bidding wars that are going on. We're not seeing that as much now as we had last year, certainly, but there still is a shortage of houses here in Utah. So number three is definitely the housing. Number four, Utah is a desert. Yes, it is a desert, and things that go along with a desert is really, it can be very dry and hot. Yes, a lot of people here complain about like how dry their eyes are, how dry their skin is, their lips, their face, all of that, simply because Utah is a desert. Number five, Utah has a really, really unique numbering street system. Yes, numbering street system. So I know when we moved here, people were like, wait, hold up, where do you live? And so we would, tell them our address. And really what ends up happening here in Utah, you can live on 500 North and 300 East, or 500, on Center Street and this. And so really what ended up happening in Salt Lake City, what they did is Temple Square is like the heart of the city. And then they've got Temple Square and then they have Center Street, and those two streets cross. And when you go north a certain amount or south, depending on how many blocks you go. So if you go north 1 block, you would be going 100 north. If you are going to the east or to the west, you would be going, 100 north, 100 east, or 100 north, 100 west, depending on which way you are going. The same goes for south, the same goes for east and west. So if you are going 1 block south, you'd be at 100 south. And then, you keep going 200, 300, 400, and so forth. So for a lot of the locals here, the numbering grid system is what they call it, makes perfect sense. For outsiders coming in, they're like, wait a minute, where's Sycamore Street? Where's this street, right? Because they just have a really tricky time figuring out that grid system. Many of the cities like around Salt Lake too have adopted that grid system with Main Street, Center Street too, University Avenue, those kind of things really cutting through those different cities. For some, it makes it really easy. For others, they're still scratching their head trying to figure out where in the world are they going. Number 6, the road construction. Yes, it seems like there is eternal road construction going on in Salt Lake, around Salt Lake. It doesn't matter. Winter, spring, summer, fall, still road construction. A lot of roads, they are, funneling down into 1 lane, or they've got, 2 lanes, but this part is roped off or blocked off. So it seems like there are always road construction going on. However, I'm going to say that in my mind, yes, there's, it's kind of a pain sometimes with the road construction, but a lot of our roads here are very nice. And not to mention that a lot of the roads are very wide too, especially in Salt Lake. You've got some really, really wide lanes. So although there's a lot of road construction always going on, a lot of our roads, you don't hit, I'm not hitting a lot of potholes. I'm not, whatever. So even though there's a lot of road construction, the roads are pretty nice. Number 7, don't be surprised if you run into an impolite driver. Yes, an impolite driver. Utah is not known for its really polite drivers. Yes, and the first time we moved here, and red light, it turned red. Of course, I stopped, and probably 3 more cars after I had stopped went whizzing right through the red light. My kids are like, Mommy, isn't that, wasn't that light red? And I say, yep, it was sure red. So be really careful, especially at stoplights, stop signs. There's a good chance that they may not come to a complete stop, or they may blow right past that red light, or cut you off, or not let you in. Again, not everybody, but Utah drivers definitely have that reputation. Number 8 is the stigma of either A, being from Utah, or B, moving to Utah and from being out of state. It's funny. So a lot of people that are from here, if you say like, oh yeah, hey, where are you from? They're like, oh yeah, I'm from Utah. Yeah, I'm just from here. And I'm thinking like, well, that's awesome. That's a great place to be from. But if you are coming from out of state, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, where did you move from? And you tell them where you moved from. It's like, oh, like already they're like calculating in your mind, like, oh, maybe they're this type of person, or, oh, maybe they're this type, right? So it's kind of an interesting thing, whether the stigma of if you are from here or if you are from out of state. Number 9 is the growing population. Yes, the growing population. Utah continues to grow. It continues to expand. And really, because of so many jobs that have moved their companies here to Utah, we're seeing big commercial buildings come up, especially we're all that, the tech industry that is, that are really moving their businesses here. We're seeing a lot more housing developments. We're seeing a lot more neighborhoods, a lot more parks and recreation. It is getting bigger. For some people, they're like, this is awesome. For people who have lived here for their whole lives, they're like, no more growth, no more growth. And some of people are really getting kind of bitter about it. So really having that can be a pro for some, because they're like, gosh, you know what? That brings in more jobs and more people, and right. but there can also be disadvantages with that, with traffic and expenses and all of that. So growing population is the next one. And number 10, last but not least, is the student population. Yes, the student population. Here in Utah, there are a lot of students. Yes, a lot of students. And not to mention that during the school year, a lot of that student population goes way up. And because there are so many just really universities in Utah, you've got University of Utah, which is right downtown in Salt Lake City. You've got Westminster that's there too. If you go more down to the south of, about 30 minutes down south of Salt Lake, you're going to have Brigham Young University. You have Utah Valley University. Down by Cedar City, you've got Snow College. You keep going down to St. George, you've got Dixie College. And then even like right in the heart of Salt Lake too, like I mentioned, you've got University of Utah, you've got Westminster, but you also have Weber State there. Go more north toward Logan, you're going to have Utah State. So really during school, like during the school sessions, you're going to have a big increase in the student population. And because of that, you're going to just have more cars on the road. You have more traffic, just more of it. And because, so hopefully this gives you a little bit of an idea of why Utah may not be the best fit for you, or you might hear all those things and you go, okay, you know what? Road construction, there's a lot of road construction where I am. Okay, cost of living, yeah, actually, cost of living here is going to be better than where I'm coming from. Or, hey, you know what? The dryness really does not much, that's not a big factor. The inversion, I take it or leave it, whatever. So all these different things, hopefully this gives you a little bit of an idea of if Utah may be a right fit for you. It may be, it may not be, but just wanted to make sure I give you this information so you can make an educated decision for yourself. And again, if you are thinking about making a move or relocating here to Utah, we love connecting with people just like you. So give us a call, shoot us a text, or send us an email, and it would be our pleasure to connect with you. Take care and have a great one. Bye.